Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us again. So finally, it's me and Steph. I'm sorry we can't do this in person.
Soon.
Yeah.
Hopefully soon. I know. I can't wait to come back to New York and see everybody again.
My name's Evan. I was originally from Westchester, New York. I worked in finance for the last 13 years until becoming chronically sick about 7 years ago. I was misdiagnosed for years across more than 30 doctors, ended up being introduced to functional medicine and discovering that I had Lyme disease, as well as mold illness, and ended up getting pretty smart on those conditions and healing my own body through natural and holistic remedies. And then after biohacking my way back to health, ended up helping more than 100 other people with Lyme disease through their battles. And while doing that was basically just thinking in the back of my mind, why are we having 100 separate conversations? If we could just organize and centralize all of these conversations and data and reviews and talk about what's working, what's not working, who the best practitioners are, all the conversations we were having, we'd come up with a really cool platform. And so that brings us to Wana, which stands for We Are Not Alone, because everyone with a chronic condition feels like they're battling it all by themselves.
How do you think that using Wana in this time can be a way to help people?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think people feel alone and lost, especially while they're being faced with health challenges, especially during COVID when they are being quarantined and they really don't, they're isolated. And so I think Wana can act as a support mechanism where people are helping each other, even if it's just a pat on the back of saying, you're not alone, I'm going through something similar. I think a lot of people are getting satisfaction and value out of contributing to the community and then also getting sort of help themselves. And so it's really about building a support network that understands kind of what you're going through and the sort of roller coaster of the healing process.
So it sounds like Wana's how old now? A couple years, no?
Wana, from inception of the idea, it's about 2 years old, but actually being launched in the App Store, it's about 5 or 6 months old.
5 or 6 months. Okay. So it really does seem like it came out at the perfect time. So from a business standpoint, I would love if you can give us your opinion on if you feel that this challenge going on right now has helped with engagement, or are you seeing a growth in users and people that are downloading your app, and kind of how is that looking for you as a business owner?
Yeah, Wana, fortunately, knock wood, Wana has been a net beneficiary out of all of this. We have seen an increase in downloads and engagement. Our audience, the future audience, the current users, the ecosystem just getting stronger and more people helping each other, more and more engagement, more messages. We're seeing more people DM with each other. So private messaging has gone up a lot. And I think people are even realizing that. We actually didn't have a tutorial in the app that you can actually direct message with users, but now users are finding out and they're like DMing with all sorts of, other people with their conditions or just to help each other. And so it's been great.
So I wanted to say, for the future, you mentioned the future users, how do you see Wana, or can you tell us a little bit about how Wana will adapt to our new reality, our future? How will it change?
Yeah, great question. We actually ended up building in, so on our feed, I don't know if you guys are familiar, we have different filters where you could filter for trending topics or posts related to
I'm a big fan of the app. I'm everyone needs to know about it. I can't wait for it to get to Europe. It has to get to Europe.
Oh my God, I know, soon, hopefully later this year. And so we built in a new filter called COVID, which basically pulls in any post that mentions coronavirus, COVID-19, and a few other sort of alternative ways of mentioning corona. And we are, people are then connecting and seeing each other's posts, and we are matching people who have COVID or are scared of COVID or are dealing with it. And so it's been really nice to see some of that engagement and messaging, which that was not our original, intention was to connect people with various chronic and invisible health conditions. But because COVID is sort of such an acute situation, we decided to also include that as a vertical. And so it's been really nice to see
Yeah.
users gaining value from that.
And do you see it as a way to help link in maybe like health professionals who can sort of mediate and guide people through this, or?
Yeah, this is like super timely. We just started to like kind of partner with some of the first practitioners that we're having conversations with. So we're building out practitioner profiles, and practitioners will be able to sort of, we'll be able to create a marketplace, which is starting out with products, and we'll eventually get into like services, which will be based on your location, and then we'll get to practitioners. Here's like the new feed. So we're gonna have custom filters up here related to your diagnoses and symptoms, the new design of our new library. So this is getting smarter here. It like understands your conditions, popular trending topics. Our library is getting smarter. If you click on something like Lyme disease, this is like the new information page. So you've got tons of information up here. You can click read more. Here are the posts about Lyme disease. Here are the people with Lyme disease. We're eventually going to build in experts who can help with Lyme. And then the videos and podcasts, which we have now, we're going to start doing related topics. This is the new matches, sorting by location, by diagnosis, and/or by symptom. The new profiles, so slightly updated. We're building in practitioners. So as practitioners have profiles, you can start to list your practitioners and then find out more information, and then recommended products. So if I click on pollen, I would be brought to the Beekeepers Naturals page. Great for like product discovery.
This was actually something I was wondering. So, of course, right now, health, actually getting the virus is a huge concern, ginormous concern for everyone, but something that the media has been touching on a bit. Personally, I feel like they could do it a bit more, though, is the mental health over the physical health. So I'd love to understand, speaking of these practitioners, they don't necessarily have to be Western traditional, but have you seen kind of more of a demand or need for psychologists, for people who are looking to speak to someone, my mental health, I'm not in a stable state, can you help with this? Like, is there help resource yet for that? And do you see that increasing? So like online therapy?
Yeah, we see the need for it increasing. We don't have the actual resources yet. We are starting to talk to telehealth platforms that we could be a source of lead generation into them.
Yeah, like how would you like filter the practitioners, like to know if they're like recommended by Wana, like Wana approved kind of deal, or
we're figuring all of that out now. We may partner with a company that's already vetted thousands of practitioners, and we may just kind of API into their platform, but we have thousands of users who've recommended what practitioners they've seen, and so then we can potentially reach out to them through our users and start to onboard and vet various practitioners and bring them onto the platform.
So as it's completely obvious, it seems like you picked the perfect startup, the one that is digital and the one that is health focused. What is your point of view on that startup kind of advice and feedback?
Yeah, I think when the economy pulls back and goes through a disruptive period, it's actually a really great time for startups to begin. You typically are a little bit leaner and more efficient, and you think about the way you're allocating capital, just because capital isn't as readily available. And you've seen some of the largest companies today were actually started right after the financial crisis, kind of in the 08-09 period, including Uber and a few others, which are now multi-billion dollar companies. So I do think a lot of incredible companies will be created through this. You'll have a lot of innovation. Mark Andreessen, who's probably one of the most respected VCs in the world, came out with an article recently, "It's time to build." I think this is a great time to be the founder of a new company.
And on the terms of the business front, everything seems like it's moving along. And I want to know how you're doing. Are you okay? Are you moving along well in this time, this difficult time?
Yeah.
Thanks for asking. It's been a really interesting time, and one that I kind of was foreshadowing potentially. I just feel like our economy was due for some sort of catalyst for a correction. I didn't know what it was going to be, but I just feel like a lot of society, maybe including myself, was living in la la land, and it's always nice when something like this happens. Unfortunately, this happens to be a pandemic, and I feel terrible that people are getting sick and dying, but at the same time, I think it's caused a lot of people to rethink what's important, who are the valuable people in their lives, who they should be connecting with. I'm actually loving quarantine life, as weird as that sounds. And so I'm in New York City, which is obviously kind of the epicenter of it. And it's actually been even really nice to be here. The city's super quiet, and it's just been a nice time to reflect and gain some new hobbies and connect with.
What hobbies are you picking up?
So it's funny. I had pretty much never cooked before. And it is like
we're calling two Italians here. We will not accept this. No,
the kitchen queens.
No, I know. And now I have this profound appreciation for cooking and steaks and fish and vegetables and all sorts of crazy stuff. My friends don't even believe me. So I don't want to say like this has been a really calm time for everyone. I know people are basically at war on the front lines.
Okay. I was going to say this has been an incredible developmental point for so many people, but unfortunately it has been at the expense of so many others.
Have you been listening to any podcasts or books that you would recommend? I mean, for us or to whoever else is listening?
I listen to a lot of podcasts. I'm listening to one right now by Luke Story. He's like a biohacker, and it's all about blue light sensitivity. And I'm wearing my Felix Gray blue blocking glasses right now. Shout out to Felix Gray. I've been a huge fan of kind of blue blocking technology for about 3 years now. I use them whenever I'm looking at my monitors, my phone. Artificial blue light can, ruin your circadian rhythm. Especially when you have Lyme disease. A lot of people have photosensitivity and light sensitivity. It can cause migraines and neck tension and red eyes and all sorts of other symptoms. And so that's a podcast that, just 2 hours of diving into the impacts of blue light, I find really interesting, and tons of other health podcasts, but they might be boring to you guys.
No,
absolutely not. No, I've actually, because of you and thanks to you, I've been now in the world of functional medicine for 2 months, and I've never felt better in my entire life. I wanted to say thank you in person, but thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm so happy to hear. Oh my God, that's amazing.
Great, Evan, thank you so much for breaking bread with us. I'm sorry we can't do it in person again, but I'm happy that we were able to connect the three of us and see the many amazing things that Wana is doing to help us go ahead and go forward with this challenging time. Thank you.
Next one will be in person.
Yes.
Love that. I can't wait. Thank you guys.